Hey, sup? This is how to hypnotize your baby. I'll be explaining how to calm your baby down, get them to sleep faster by using classical conditioning, routines, and a little bit of hypnotism. This video is for one of my buddies, which is why I'll be reading my notes a little bit more so I can get this out faster. He just had his firstborn baby. Congratulations. Um, and I know for me, when I had my firstborn baby, I didn't really have a lot of experience with babies prior to having my first baby. So I didn't really have a lot of scenarios where a baby was handed to me. I didn't really seek out babies. And so caring for a small child could have been probably measured in minutes prior to my firstborn. And like some of my other videos, I'll be putting some time section links down here so you can skip ahead to watch the content that you want. So first, you should ensure that all of your baby's basic needs are met. Are they hungry, comfy, sleepy? Do they need some stimulation? Uh, Remember that your baby will soon learn how to be a good faker or diva to get what they want. So, eliminating some of these basic needs from your questioning should help you know what actions you should take. And this will be the case throughout their life. When trying to guess more accurately what the baby wanted, I found it easier to set a routine so that I can predict my baby's behavior and needs. My baby's routine that worked for me was after they woke up, I immediately changed their diaper, stimulated them, gave them independent time, fed them, and then put them back to sleep. The basic idea is when they wake up, it's the best time for them to learn. So you use that time, then you let them process what they've learned independently, just by themselves. And then you feed them, and then they get sleepy, and then you put them to sleep. And then you just repeat this over and over again until you've run out of leave and you have to go back to work. But hopefully, you have helped set up a routine and a schedule that your baby's primary caregiver can use to accurately or and adequately fulfill all of your baby's needs, both physically and mentally and emotionally. Because hopefully the schedule will help reduce some of the stress of the household. Anyways, these are the questions that you want to ask for their basic needs. So, are they hungry? Know when they last fed. It's easier when they are on a schedule because their bodies will be getting used to getting food at a certain time. Um, Note that sometimes they'll just cluster feed and throw your whole schedule off, but it's good to have a note of when they've last eaten. Uh, my wife and I, we just had a note, or we just told each other whenever they came out. Uh, can they breathe? It sucks when they're sick. They're super fuzzy. We used a nose Frida to suck out the boogers. Yes, the boogers, they can't blow their nose. Um, and getting the electric one was really handy. And so, like when you're tired because your baby's just awake, um, it's nice not having to suck it yourself and just using the electric pump. Okay, so are they comfortable? Uh, you want to check their diapers um, again and again. I know you just put one on, but you want to check again. For some reason, three times is the magic number most of the time of how many diapers I'll have to change, like right in a row. It's really handy to get those diapers that have the little color change. Most of the disposable diapers have one, but if you're using non-disposable diapers, you just have to check. Uh, you want to check their clothes and blankets and other objects. Hopefully, there's no other objects in where they're sleeping. But you want to check if they're snagging or uncomfortable, or if something's like poking into them or riding up. Is it too hot or too cold? Does the baby have gas? Sometimes there's gas inside, especially when they're sucking, or if you have to use a bottle, um, it's going to come out one end or the other. So if the baby just fed, you generally want to have them up, and you'll have to burp them. If it's been a while, and your baby still has some gas, you may need to have them lay down and sort of put their knees to their belly, and it sort of helps align up all the intestines in there, so that it pushes out the gas, or your baby's able to push out the gas a little bit easier. Um, this also helps if they have to go poop. It's a good idea to also keep a log of when they've last pooped or peed, um, and it's especially good communication, like with your partner. So we just had a notepad next to the changing table of when they peed. There's also some apps that you can use to track it, and use Siri or Google or whatever to verbally say it. Just using the post-it note worked well for us, and it was easy. Just a note, I recommend, even when you're by yourself, that you still record when your child is last gone, because all the days are going to blur together. You're going to forget what time it is. So keeping a note, it will make you actively look at the time and remember when the last time your child is gone. Um, Also check your uh, positioning of the child. So, certain positions, depending on whether your child just ate or how they're feeling, will be more comfortable or less comfortable for them. Uh, for yourself, because you'll be holding the child in a position for a long time, you want to use your skeletal structure as much as possible, opposed to like just your muscles and trying to just muscle hold the baby. So what I found sort of helpful is like a football hold, where you use your non-dominant arm, and then it's braced by a dominant arm, such that when you have to go get something, you can use your dominant arm to do stuff. Um, if your baby needs to be laying this way, uh, you'll just have to learn to do things with your non-dominant arm. Um, or if you're having the baby a little bit more upright, usually like I like to have the baby's knees a little bit curved, so that if they have gas, they can just pass it, and then I'll just hold, and then you can brace with your other arm, or do some type of bracing. You'll see what feels comfortable for you and your baby. Just a few tips there. Um, Usually I like having my baby in this like squatty position, because if their legs are straight, that can cause some stress in their belly, and pushing up against it, or things just sort of get blocked off. So having the legs be a little bit bent can help unblock some of that gas. Um, okay, so do they need some type of stimulation? So when they're first born, they might be awake for only minutes at a time, and then later it'll be longer and longer. Um, you'll want to stimulate them so that they're learning something, and that they can, um, bank that in their sleep. Because if they're not being stimulated, then they'll just be sort of fussy and grumpy. And then when they are getting sleepy and grumpy, just like all babies and young children and some adults get, um, they'll try to fight their sleep, especially if they've not been super stimulated. Fear of missing out, so they'll look around and want to do something with you or just be stimulated. So taking that stimulation, and doing that before they feed and eat, is helpful. Okay, so this gets into the classical conditioning. So the classical conditioning, a few things to know about classical conditioning. Uh, it's basically an unconscious training, or unconscious learning, where we use a stimulus and entwine it with uh, a conditioning to get a conditioned response. Um, so we're not going to go all full Clockwork Orange on this type of thing. It's not going to be like the movies where you have a stimulus and they just, you know, snap into it and like fall asleep. But I found it to be useful and mostly effective for the stimulus that I want. So the effect that we're trying to go for is when they hear a particular signal, that signal um, tells their body that everything is safe. It's time for their body to relax, and it's time for their body to go to sleep. The signal that I like to use is a song, and that song is Jingle Bells. Now, that's my song of choice. Uh, there are others that might want to use more traditional children's lullabies, but I like that song because it's easy for me to sing. I know it. It has a fairly even tempo and a natural step down in pace when moving from the chorus to the verse. And that helps me uh, keep on rhythm to naturally step down the speed and tempo um, and get the child into a deeper and deeper trance, just like a hypnotist would get their well, not victim, but get their participant into a deeper and deeper trance. Um, so I suppose this could work also by using like shushing. It would have the same stimulus and response effect. However, I think that music has a special complexity that is more deeply ingrained in the mind. So that's why I wanted to use music. And I also didn't want to choose a super common lullaby um, because I really wanted to control the signal. Um, I didn't want other people or other music boxes or like noise machines to mess up my signal. Like if it were played and my baby was not being actively and properly conditioned. Um, so those Jingle Bells is still sort of a common song. I feel like it's limited in its playtime throughout the year. Um, and when it is played, generally the atmosphere and what's going on while it's being played is congruent with the conditioned response that I want it to have. Uh, and of course, this is more effective when you start earlier um, with your baby or with your child, but it's a conditioned response, so just keep it up. My oldest is about 3 right now. He's almost 4. It's still fairly effective on him. In fact, he knows that this is the signal for that means that things are okay and to calm down. And he even tries to use this signal on his sister um, when she's crying. But I have to keep an eye on that just to make sure that he's using it properly. And I will then also step in to make sure that she's being actively um, conditioned. A sort of funny aside is a few nights ago, I was soothing my newborn, and my 3-year-old was next to me. And while I was soothing her, he fell asleep also. And I mean, it was nighttime, but it was great. Like, it felt great. I felt successful and validated in that moment, and it was great. Anyways, um, so be wary of how much of the environment you can control, because you could derail some of your efforts by being unable to soothe your child. So you start when you are able to actively assist your child in coping. They link together your signal with the effect that is to come. So if you're not able to do the active coping or helping your child cope, then the signal's not going to do anything. Uh, So the best you can, ensure the room's lighting is absent of blue lighting, or those like daylight bulbs, or daylight. You want to opt for a, like a dimmer, warmer light setting, so they can get into that mood. Also, though some parents feel like they have to stand up to soothe their child, I feel like those motions can be mimicked while you're sitting, especially on a couch or a cushion that's sort of bouncy, where it's convenient for you to be comfortable. And when you're trying to condition your child, I recommend conditioning them in a way that is comfortable for you. Otherwise, it's really the child conditioning you to do those things like stand up and whatnot. It's sort of funny. Um, Anyways, I usually like to start by matching my child's level of energy. Like if they're crying, I assume that their heart rate is a little bit higher also. So I start off with a significant rhythmic back pat of about 120 beats per minute. And I start singing or shushing the song Jingle Bells to them. Like I'll shush in the melody of Jingle Bells, um, so that they can get that signal, even though it's not full on singing, but it's that melody. Um, you can Google the metronome to see how fast I mean, but basically you're just a little bit faster so that you can match their heartbeat. Uh, After syncing with my child, I'll continue to step down in speed as I repeat the song over and over again, down to like a more regular speed of like 150 beats per minute. Then I'll get progressively slower, down to about 50 or 60 beats per minute. I figure that this speed is pretty sufficient, because that's what a adult's resting heartbeat could be, um, which is one of the things that helps the child regulate their own body. Sort of like if you're doing skin to skin time, so that they can be close to you with your heat and warmth and whatnot. Um, and then if this works for you, then keep on doing it. Follow the same steps every time, and eventually the signal will become stronger and stronger. Be wary about just wantonly using it. I recommend against using it if the child is like ramping up, um, like if they're injured and you're unable to stabilize this condition and the situation. Uh, yeah, well, yeah, they're just not gonna just knock out when you do the signal. It is just a calming effect. That's what you're going for. Um, and by doing this, it'll help them enter into that safe space. Sort of like people that use like a bell when they enter into meditation and exit out of it. That signal helps prepare their body and their mind to go into that area and then come back out. For hypnosis, it's a little bit the same as conditioning as far as the setup and the environment. However, it's used when the child doesn't really need you to regulate them, like they aren't crying, but you want to put them to sleep. Of course, your classical conditioning signal can be used in tandem, or in place of hypnotism, but this is just another technique. Uh, it's harder to hypnotize children because, like most adult triggers, you can trigger that through suggestion, but infants cannot fully understand all of the words that you're saying. So you have to use physical techniques to get them to do what you want. So generally, you want the child to close their eyes, but you can't just say, close your eyes, because they don't know what you're talking about and they have no reason to. Uh, so you have to guide the child to close their eyes. So if you're talking to the child and you're like above the child, then their eyes are open, like more open and looking up. So if you're like below the child, then their eyes are more down and they're looking down, like their eyelids are like physically more closed. So you want to position the child such that their eyes will just start to close. Also, you can direct the child's attention such that they close their eyes by following like whatever you're putting in front of their face. I like to just use my hands because I know I'll always have my hands, so I don't have to worry about getting a toy to stimulate them. I can just use my hand as like a little mobile above them, and then I can control that and control their attention. And sometimes I'll just like wave it or like do little spirit fingers or pretend like I'm a fish or a jellyfish or something, and they'll just follow that. Um, and I've tried to um, use like a ticking or some other sound while I was doing this, but I couldn't coordinate my motions and other sounds so well. That didn't work as well for me. Um, using the classical conditioning can work in tandem with this, but usually I just sort of talk to them and sort of stimulate them a little bit such that they go to sleep after a little bit more stimulation. Um, I found that that is why they're in this state because they want to be stimulated and then can go to sleep. Sort of like if you're trying to like read something, it actually like makes you more tired. That's sort of like the effect that we're trying to go for here.
Hey, two things I forgot to mention. Auditory disruption. This is used especially when the baby is crying. The goal is to disrupt the baby and distract them and gain their attention. When they're distracted, you'll have a few moments to sync and control the child before attention is lost. Um, so you'd sync at the child's energy level. Uh, if they're crying, then it's generally like that 210 beats per minute. Uh, and short, quick, um, sharp shushing, like and the syncing should happen fairly quickly and crying disrupted, and then you step that down into a sustained shushing. Once again, you're mimicking the child's heart, or mimicking the adult's resting heartbeat, like mimicking those sounds in the uterus, which is why the baby sort of likes, like water or, those types of sounds. And that's what shushing is, sort of like the heartbeat. And the second thing I forgot to specifically mention is vibrations, bouncing, and rocking. Much like when we're in a car, the vibrations help us go to sleep. It also helps the baby go to sleep. Um, so when singing, my conditioning signal, so like the sing and rock or sing and bounce within the beat. So then it's sort of like a double effect. Um, and also, I'll have like the baby sometimes close to my chest so they can hear me singing and purposely, step down the tone and the pitch, so I get, octaves lower or whatever. And I'd slow down my pitch and tone, sort of like if you're watching a video in slow motion. Um, it's that dual effect of, the tempo is getting slower and the pitch and tone are getting lower, and then they're feeling that vibration. That also helps them.
Anyways, good luck. And remember, it takes some time. for this signal to be associated with the conditioning, but your baby is smart and will catch on as long as you're consistent. Congratulations again. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope this helps you out on your journey. So thanks for watching. I'm trying to build this community to share some systems and ideas. I just wanted to share what works for me. I'd like to know what works for you. So leave a comment down below about how you helped regulate your kids or put them to sleep, what things work for you as far as a routine goes. And I'll see you next time. Take care.